Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Wonderbly, but they're one of the fastest growing e-commerce businesses in the UK, having won top spot recently in the Sunday Times Tech Track 100. So phenomenal growth, and we're very proud here at Emetria to have had them as a client for the past couple of years. So we're going to have a quick chat about, principally about how you've done it. So I guess the first question is for Rachel. So you've seen phenomenal growth. Since you were founded, I think I'm right in saying you've sold over 2.7 million personalized books in around 200 countries. Can you tell us a little bit about how that got started?
I got started, sure. So for those of you who don't know us at Wonderbly, we create personalized books for children. Everything we do is print on demand, and we really see ourselves as a tech company that also works with this traditional medium of storytelling, and that's essentially the main thing behind what we're doing. So the company was founded about 4 years ago by a dad who received a personalized children's book for his daughter, and then unfortunately felt quite underwhelmed with what he actually received. So he got together with another of our founders, and they saw a gap in the market there, and they thought if we can personalize these books in a different way that they felt was truly personalized, then we should be able to capitalize on that. So they started it in the beginning almost as a side project, and then eventually got funding, the first funding on Dragon's Den, and then it kind of snowballed from there, really. So now we have multiple products in multiple languages. At that time, we were called Lost My Name, but we recently rebranded over to Wonderbly. But it all began initially with this idea that they had between them, that they could do something new with this Lost My Name book. Okay,
so Lost My Name, that was the original concept, was it, the original book? And
yes.
As you say, you rolled out a few new books now, but tell us a little bit about how that book worked and what was the concept behind it, because it sounds intriguing, and I know it's been tremendously successful, but just...
Sure. So the Lost My Name book itself, how you actually create it, as we said, it's print on demand. So you go onto our website, you type in the name, and the book doesn't actually exist until you type it in that moment. And then, depending on the child's name that you've written, we create a story. So it's essentially the story of a child who wakes up to find that their name has gone missing, and then they have to go on a special journey to find their name, basically. And they meet different characters along the way that are all personalized then to the name that you've chosen. So if you were called Jack, you might meet a jaguar, an angel, a chameleon, and a koala along the way. And then we also have 50 different character variants. So say you have multiple letters, or you have some characters that you maybe don't like some people don't really like that we have the angel for A, then you can pick out different variants. You can do a personalized dedication as well. And I think one thing that kind of sets it apart is really this point that you can make it for the most unique of names. And then on the last page, there's the kind of like big reveal, where the kids really see like, oh wow, this is my name on the last page. And that's where we've actually had the most positive feedback from parents and gifters, this kind of special moment between the child and the parent when they realize.
Have you ever had a name that's come up once?
I think we probably have. We have some really unusual name requests.
Okay.
That we can cater for. We have some, unfortunately, we can't cater for. Like we recently had a name that had a number in it instead of an E. It had a 3.
Okay.
And we unfortunately couldn't do anything with that because we don't have numbers at this point in time.
Okay.
But otherwise,
anyone got a kid with a number in the name? Anyway, okay, cool. And okay, so you rolled out the other books, which is behind the name change. So where did you then migrate after having the Lost My Name concept, which is great? What sort of stories have you spun out subsequently?
Well, we always try to focus on something that really resonates with the children. That's important, that we don't just do any kind of personalized book. So the second book we rolled out was based on the concept of home, that a home is quite special for a child. And in this one, we took, actually, you put in your address, obviously, because it's about your home, and we take a render from satellite imagery, and we actually put that satellite imagery into the book. Then other than that, we've focused on birthdays, favorite things. Recently as well, we did one of our biggest projects to date, which is called My Golden Ticket. And that was a cooperation with the Roald Dahl estate that actually takes the child into Willy Wonka's chocolate factory as well. So that was super exciting for us as a company to work on.
Okay. Becky, I just want to ask you, I mean, clearly the concept is brilliant. I'm sure we all wish we'd thought of that a few years ago, because it's been phenomenally successful. But apart from the fact that you've got a very innovative product, and obviously you're a very smart team, what else do you think has driven your success? What's been is there something you can identify that's kind of been a key component of the growth?
I think the main thing for us over the last couple of years has been repeat growth. So for the first couple of years, we were so heavily acquisition focused because we had 2 products. But as everyone in the online world probably knows, acquisition costs are constantly growing. And we started to launch new products, and then we had to kind of shift our focus to our existing customers. So we started to see how much of a great impact having new products had, and the same customers that bought our original book would come back and buy pretty much any book that we launched. So as a result, we kind of adopted a new strategy of coming up with like a ton of different book concepts and then just putting them out in front of our customers for feedback. And then we tried to launch as many as we could as possible this year. And then the focus really was on optimization, whether it was the product page or the product itself or the website journey. And then off the back of that, like concept testing, we had like a load of customer feedback and suggestions for books from our customers. And I guess as a result of the nature of our books, like a customer has to input so much personal data about their child, so their gender, their name, their address, their birthday. So those 2 kind of data streams combined gave us like a really good guiding light as to where to go next as like a wider business strategy. And then on top of that, we've been doing a lot of work to enrich that data to try and find out a bit more about customer intent. So we do a lot of surveys to try and figure out their relationship to the child and the occasion they bought for, so that we can create like a proper customer profile and then try and figure out what they might do next and how we can influence that.
Okay, so clearly, data has been important to the growth. Can you explain a bit about how you use that data? I mean, not just to personalize the books, but other ways to kind of leverage it.
Yeah, so we do a lot of personalization in our everyday campaigns. So whether it's we've got like different character options you can pick based on the child's gender and hair color. So whether it's having 10 different variants of a header image in the email and showing the correct one for the child the customer bought for, whether it's having different versions of copy based on whether they're a grandparent or a parent or an aunt and an uncle. But more importantly for us, because we have 8 books, but it's still a relatively small product range, we've been trying to figure out ways to use the data to be a little bit more clever and make the journey a bit more seamless for customers. So one thing we've been doing recently is deep linking. So when you're on the website and you're filling out your details to create a product, it adds a load of parameters to the URL, so your child's gender, age, whatever. And we've basically replicated those parameters as fields in a Metria so that we can store customer data against them. And it means that when we launch a new product, we can add those parameters to the email URL and then using merge tags, like dynamically pull in the information for each customer. So when they click through onto the website, everything's already pre-populated for the child they most recently bought for. And that's like triple conversion for us. That's been amazing. And then another thing we've been using data for, so some of the most like impressive spreads in our book feature a child's name. So the last page of the Lost My Name book, or in our Golden Ticket book, there's a candy bar with a kid's name on. So we can export a list of children's names and then pre-generate a load of images that feature those names. And then again, using merge tags, call in those images to the email, again, based on the child someone most recently bought for. So I think it's very important for us in kind of helping us replicate the personalization that we have in our books in the customer journey as well.
Okay. And maybe back to you, Rachel. I mean, clearly you're a gifting company, right?
Yes, definitely.
And we heard something from Sally in 77 Diamonds about engagement rings and wedding rings and men buying for women and so on and so forth. I mean, can you describe the strategies you've got for turning these, giftees into customers, and how have you kind of worked around the fact that it is gifting, and get repeat purchase from an aunt or an uncle who's buying something for a nephew or niece, and how have you thought about that and dealt with it?
Sure. So to split it into two parts, first, how we address the giftees themselves. If it's people receiving the packaging itself, so receiving the book directly to their house rather than being given it directly by someone else, we have 3 small business cards within our packaging, which have a small incentive on them if they or if their friends want to order from Wonderbly. So on the one hand, hopefully they have a great experience with the book and they want to recommend it to their friends, or they want to buy it themselves. Then if they want to buy it themselves, they already have the small offer to incentivize them to do so, or they kind of become brand ambassadors for Wonderbly, so to speak, because they saw this product, they found it great, they saw that their own child liked it, and now they pass this referral on to their friends. And we also have a referral program in program already. Then otherwise, in terms of keeping people coming back, we have a few different tactics. So firstly, the same as Love Honey said earlier, we've also identified a certain period of time within which customers are most likely to repeat purchase from us. So we do have automated email campaigns set to target those users in between that time period when we know they're most likely to convert again, either encouraging them to upsell or to cross-sell a product. Then similarly, I think to what Love Honey said as well, we also run anniversary campaigns. So we know as a gifting company, a lot of gifts come around once a year, so like Christmas, birthdays. So we again have triggered campaigns that will target users shortly before that time period. Then otherwise, if they're opted into our emails, we do a lot of product launches, obviously, because we've launched 4 products this year. So that's a good way to keep, in the end, the gifters coming back, because we know if we don't continue to make great products, then people won't keep coming back based purely on offers, for example. We need to have new products that will excite them to give to the children.
Okay. It's another angle I thought about, given that they have all this data. You obviously got some great insights into children's behavior. I mean, is it always princesses for girls and trucks for boys? Have you seen shifts in behavior in different countries, different cultures? Because you're selling, I believe, not only to the UK, you're selling in, 200 countries around the world, right? So US is a big market and so on. Have you, either of you?
I think probably the most relevant book is our Kingdom of You book. So you basically get to pick a set of characters to accompany your kid on the story. And there are some typically boy and typically girl characters. So you've got trucks, superheroes, and you've got princesses and animals. And people do go for the stereotypical choices for boys and girls, but there are some people that buy princesses for boys, which is quite nice to see. And then on our end, so we've actually done a lot of tests on that to try and figure out what's the right number of options to offer, how much is too much choice. And we found for boys that princesses was the lowest picked option, and it also hurt our conversion to have 4 options versus 3. So there was a big company debate about removing that option, but then we decided that we don't want to reinforce stereotypes. There are some people that are buying princesses for boys, so that's something we want to keep and try and not put kids into boxes. And that's kind of the same, it's a bit off topic, but with our other products as well. So we've launched a book called The Littlest Bear, and you get to build up a family of bears, and we've purposely made it so you don't have to pick a mum bear or dad bear. You can have 2 mum bears or 4 dad bears, or so that's quite close to our heart as a brand.
I suppose part of the stereotyping is adults buying on behalf of children. So I mean, they assume that the little girl will want the princess and so on and so forth. I mean, how much of your sales are driven by the child?
We had another book, The Journey Home, that had a slightly darker cover, and the sway to buying it for boys was huge compared to any other books. And we slightly lightened the color of the cover, and it completely equalized the gender balance. So that's just really small things that.
And have you noticed particular differences, for instance, European market versus US market? Or?
Yeah, I think the US market are much more for typically boy-girl colors, so pink covers for girls, blue covers for boys, whereas our Nordics markets have been pushing us for a genderless book, so they don't want us to have the boy-girl thing at all. So it's really interesting, but then it's like a business decision to weigh up effort versus reward.